name is Liz Partsch.
And I am Paul Rowley.
And welcome to Farm & Dairy's Weekly Rundown.
Oh, thank you. Yes. We will be giving you, what are we giving you today? A rundown of the week's top stories in the paper.
Yeah.
Wow. So anyway.
Yeah.
It was a week, and today is June 1st.
Yeah.
Congratulations, LGBTQ.
Yeah. Happy Pride Month, everyone.
Yes.
June is for the gays.
The pride and the gays. And that means that every heterosexual is required by law to pay me $25 to be in my presence. So
yes,
you can find me on Venmo, Cash App, or Zelle. Thank you.
Viewers included too. It doesn't have to be like,
That's
it can
correct.
be virtually in presence
That's
as well.
correct. None
so,
of you are off. Yeah.
Off the hook.
That's correct.
So, you can find Paul's email too. He can probably provide it for you that way on one of his stories. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice.
Okay. Anyway.
Cool. Well, I'll kick us off if you don't mind.
No, please do.
So earlier today, before I came into the office, I was a little late because I stopped by Huffman Fruit Farm in Salem, Ohio.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, but this visit wasn't as fun. It wasn't to grab some of their delicious strawberries, which I ended up grabbing anyway.
Yeah.
Instead, we went out to John Huffman's orchard to survey his apple, peach, and plum trees that bear mostly leaves and little fruit.
Oh.
That's because his orchard was hit hard by subsequent frosts in the spring that killed the blossoms. Yeah,
I've read about this. This is tough.
And Huffman isn't the only producer in the region seeing these problems. As you said, you read about it.
Yeah.
Producers across Pennsylvania and eastern Ohio have been devastated by the freeze. According to Huffman, frost threats are, an annual occurrence. This is not something new. But what isn't normal is how early his trees bloomed this year, happening in March instead of April. So it's starting to get warmer earlier. The trees are blooming earlier. That means they have longer to endure these frosts that occur annually every spring.
Mm-hmm.
While there are ways to protect fruit trees against cold temperatures, which I mentioned in the story, I mentioned a bunch of different methods that the producers try, including basically staying up at all night, from like midnight to like dusk, like to dawn, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I'm not going to mention it now, but it mentioned in the story. Anyway, at Sorkel's, many producers still incurred losses despite, some of these protection methods that they've used.
Mm-hmm.
At Sorkel Orchards in Wexford, Pennsylvania, it had to cancel its annual strawberry festival this year due to light crop.
Wow.
And this is a very rare occurrence for them. And at Norman's Orchard in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, which is in Allegheny County, Jeff Norman, the owner, says it will be closed this year except for blueberries in June and grapes in August after the frost wiped out his peach, pear, and apple trees completely. Yeah, pretty devastating. He said, I got kind of despondent for about a week once I realized it was such a hard freeze. Norman told me, adding that he's basically just going to have to take a total loss for the year,
Oh my
which is really devastating, right?
Yeah.
Which makes what I'm going to be saying soon more devastating, but we'll get there. After a hard freeze in April, the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau took a survey that found that out of 250 respondents, 221 reported damage. 87% had a loss of at least 25% of their crop, and 67% reported a loss of at least 75%.
Wow.
So that's huge numbers. That's huge. So the USDA actually recently approved disaster relief funding for Pennsylvania producers after pressure from state officials like Governor Shapiro and Secretary of the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, Russell Redding. Mm-hmm. But none of these counties are in Western Pennsylvania, nor are they central Western Pennsylvania. So I'd just like to point that out, that all of the people in this story will have no opportunity to receive any disaster relief funding.
Wow.
Which I may be emphasizing a little, which obviously, because we were talking about this earlier and I was a little angry about this.
Yeah.
But I just think this is, can't say I'm surprised. I think Western Pennsylvania constantly is a bit overlooked in terms of funding by everyone, including the governor here in Pennsylvania. So anyway, just wanted to point that out, that even though there is help coming to the state, it is not at all in this region. It is only in the eastern part of the state, which I think is important for people to know because I don't know. It's kind of just like saying, oh, we're going to help you guys, you few over here, but we're going to neglect all the other producers and farmers on the other side of the state that also had similar awful losses as
Yeah.
well. So
I'm thinking of that meme with Judge Judy where she's just like at the camera, like
yeah.
When
will Western Pennsylvania
Yeah.
get its
Yeah.
right?
I like
It's
that.
due. It's
Mhm.
what it deserves, man.
Yeah.
You guys might be seeing an opinion piece coming up about
There we go.
my thoughts on how Western Pennsylvania is treated. But
Yeah.
anyway, I digress today. That's enough.
Yeah. Wow.
Injustice talk today.
Yeah, well, I mean I was gonna say something an expletive and I
Yeah.
held my tongue.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah. Well,
Righteous
anyways,
theory.
to read the full story, that story, to learn all more about these producers and what they had to go through over this past spring, you can go on the front of the paper this week or to farmanddairy.com.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I have a story that I believe is brought to us from our friends at the Associated Press. Thank you over there. And it is on our front page of the news section, I believe, joining Liz's story. And I think. And this is, so here we go. So everyone, this is a topic that everyone in Ohio loves. It's very uncontroversial. No one has ever weighed in on this topic before in like an impassioned way. It really just flies under the radar. And I'm talking about solar panel arrays. The Ohio Supreme Court. Oh, by the way, most of you probably don't know this, listeners and viewers alike. There is a reporter for the Boston Globe who the internet has fallen in love with because she has a Boston accent. It's a dream. It's such just a tremendous way to hear the news. A person with a Boston accent report on a story from New England. It's just tremendous. So I'm going to try to read part of this in a Boston accent, just to tip my hat to this person who is now like a viral Instagram star because she's just so fabulous. And also, I'm from Massachusetts, so roll my shoulders for a minute. The Ohio Supreme Court overturns a permit that state officials have previously granted to a massive 6,000-acre industrial-scale solar farm and battery operation in Madison County. In a ruling on May 26th, a fractured majority of Republican justices sided with a sweeping challenge brought by local and county officials against Oak Run Solar, which would sit in rural farmland between Columbus and Dayton. There you go.
Yeah.
She does it much better, but it is.
Because why put a solar farm when you can have a data center?
Oh, why? Right. So anyway, I hope you were following along with that. This makes for a significant setback, but not necessarily a fatal blow to this facility. And it's in the latest. This is just the latest in a string of legal roadblocks that solar developers have faced from Ohio regulators and now the state's highest court. 4 justices, number 1, 2, 3, 4, who formed a majority in the Oak Run case, dismissed most of the alleged shortfalls in the solar farm's application around aesthetics, wildlife, and hydrology. However, they ruled that the project application to the Ohio Power Siting Board, or Sitting Board? I think it's Sitting Board.
Sitting Board, yeah.
Failed to include project renderings of its substations from public view, which is maybe some information that impacted people might want. The court's ruling reverses the issuance of the permit and orders the OPSB to, quote, more thoroughly address, end quote, the visual impacts of the project. Developers with Oak Run Solar, a project from Savion. I don't know anything about them. I guess they are a subsidiary of oil giant Shell. Says the project would generate 800,000 kilowatts hours of electricity, which is enough to power 170,000 households.
Wait, did you just say that the solar company is a subsidiary?
Yes, I did. Hold on. What? Yes, I did.
It's literally what my brain just did.
Yeah.
Wow. Yep.
Right.
why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't this company dominate the entire energy
Clean
industry?
energy? Think again.
Yeah, right. Because, we just love monopolies here in this state. If you're a monopoly in any other country, please come to the United States. We don't have enough here.
No, yeah.
We want more. We need more control over everything and all of the prices here.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, plug aside. So this site would also include two 150 megawatt batteries, enabling 24/7 storage alongside a generation operation. I love that. That's fun. Alliteration. Generation operation alliteration that only runs during daylight hours. So, okay. Plus, the site would be, this is the first that I've actually heard of this, which is kind of interesting. The site would be a quote, I don't know. I don't know if we can do this. Agrovoltaic project, meaning it might include things like beekeeping, sheep grazing, and ground cover gardening around the project, according to a OPSB write-up of the project. To construct this solar array, they would hire about 3,000 construction workers to do the work, and then there would be 63 long-term workers. It would generate $8.3 million per year in economic output once operational and pay an estimated $7.2 million in Madison County taxes. Well, the people of Madison County, I do not think were very interested in this project. That's my guess, because as we've covered these projects before, I've been to one hearing an eon ago, and the feeling there, I don't believe it was in Madison County. I don't remember where it was. It was, however, I can tell you that the mood in the room was very opposed to putting a solar array on farmland that was deemed productive. So anyway, since 2020, the OPSB has rejected 7 solar farms in each case in Ohio. In each case, they haven't identified any technical shortcomings. Rather, the project haven't met a requirement to satisfy what is called the quote, public interest, convenience, or necessity. Due to the objection raised by township and county officials, solar energy has drawn significant grassroots pushback in Ohio. According to the article, rural communities have stuffed public hearings around the state to object to permits. That's just what we've seen in the biz as well, being reporters around this subject. Counties and townships have taken to the courts to challenge permits after they are granted. And last month, Richland County narrowly voted to uphold a ban on wind and solar. What did wind do to anyone? I'm just going to say, that's a personal aside, but I don't know. I think wind is okay. Wind and, well, I don't know, whatever. The Kennedys in Massachusetts would disagree, though, because they don't want that wind farm off of Massachusetts Sound or whatever, blocking their view. Anyway, Richland County narrowly voted to uphold a ban on wind and solar facilities throughout most of that county. So there's a lot more in this article. It is very interesting. I know that a lot of people have very strong feelings about, like, again, the installation of these types of arrays in like farmland that could be productive.
Yeah,
and
valid.
We certainly do need our food to come from somewhere. I was just shouting out, and I'm kind of not the most informed. I haven't written about this in a long time. I never wrote that article about the hearing that I went to for reasons I forget why as well. It didn't happen. But I will say that I know online it's kind of a popular refrain to for people to say, like, well, why don't we put like solar panels like in parking lots? Which I am like, I think that's a valid question. I'd like to know what the problem is. Let's put them in parking lots. I think that would be great.
Yeah, no, in Athens, Ohio, like I said earlier, where they have their farmers market, the farmers market parking lot is actually like a solar, and it works really well. Just like a huge solar, like, and then it keeps your just a whole huge solar panel, and then it keeps your car cool and it doesn't overheat. So I think it's a great idea.
As a driver of a luxury vehicle, a Volvo, no less.
It's just about where you put it,
right? And it's all leather inside, so it warms up quick in the sun.
Yeah,
and I don't want to.
Yeah,
driving a luxury.
I also feel
state
like,
car.
Though I gotta say, people love the energy that doesn't directly impact them.
Right.
Even if it's like, oh, I have to look at something versus this family somewhere else is gonna have to deal with a lot of health problems because of this other energy. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, just I feel like something we've observed a lot here at Farm and Dairy in our reporting is that people just kind of love the energy that isn't directly affecting them.
We've all in every community. I think there's some NIMBYism going on.
Yeah.
I will say, I think there's some folks that like living on top of it. If I remember from the hearing I went to, is that there is sort of like a noise factor. I don't think it's as loud as like the noise output from a data center
or like living next to a well pad.
Right. So there are some impacts that I think are worthy of consideration there too.
Yeah. I mean, just the hard. How is energy not a nuisance? I think is the question. Like, I mean, every energy is going to be a nuisance to someone.
Right.
Someone's going to have to live next to it,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
How do we suss out the energy that's the best?
Right. But also,
that's, I guess, the question we always try to answer here at Farm and Dairy, you know?
And also, gas is $5 right now, a gallon.
So maybe we need more energy projects that are
we got to think outside the box.
More than just gas, right? Yeah.
Right. And if you would like to weigh in on that topic or learn more about it, I heard that Liz is actually hard at work on a series right now, an energy series.
Oh, yeah.
So just maybe should make a plug for Powering a Nation.
Go check it out, everyone. Liz is going to take a much needed summer hiatus from this so I can regain my mental strength back.
But she's done great work so far, so check it out. It is also online.
Yeah.
So
thanks for the plug. Appreciate it. Okay, Paul. All right. Well, in other news, Josh Shapiro.
Yes.
This guy is back again. Recently released his governor's responsible infrastructure development standards, aka grid standards for data centers. Yes. These data centers, first introduced in the governor's 2026-2027 budget address, outline specific steps data centers developers must take to show that proposed projects provide, that was alliteration right there, value to local communities and are being developed responsibly. So the grid standards focus on 4 key areas: energy affordability, transparency and community engagement, workforce and economic development, and environmental protection. So I'm just going to read a few of these musts under the standards, under like these umbrella categories. So one of them, developers provide an energy plan detailing how it will provide for its energy needs without putting this cost onto Pennsylvanians. Seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Developers must agree to build, bring online, or buy incremental electricity capacity to meet increased energy demands. Developers need to provide a community outreach plan that promotes public engagement and transparency, which includes communicating with impacted local governments, holding public meetings, and consulting with municipal leaders in the early stages of the project. Yeah. They must provide information on the end use for data centers and a footprint report stating estimated peak electric demand, annual water consumption. They also must provide a sustainability plan, kind of talking about how they're going to use advanced technology to limit water and energy consumption, which we all know, or in previous reporting that I've done and that a lot of people have done, that data centers suck up a lot of energy, or they use they use a lot of energy, they use a lot of water. So that was considered in the grid standards that Shapiro wrote. So if the application does meet these requirements, the project will be granted grid certification, which allows the project to participate in the Pennsylvania Permit Fast Track Program, which streamlines permits for high economic development and infrastructure projects, those type of projects.
Nice.
So, pretty interesting as we see the legislation developing in Pennsylvania on data centers.
Yeah.
So,
wow,
more to come, I guess.
Yeah. And y'all hear about that $1 billion tax gift that all of the Ohio data centers got, like by accident? They were supposed to be able to they got like a tax break of like $1 billion.
Oh, wow.
And they weren't supposed to.
I know they have been getting tax breaks, and I saw that.
It was much greater than anyone thought.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did see that DeWine paused
the
tax exemption.
Exactly. Yeah. It was just great.
Oh, man.
I just love that we're just out of control.
It's so great. Everything's out of control, and there's little fruit.
Holds barred. Yeah. And there's no fruit. You're right.
And that's even that's the worst part of it all.
Yeah.
Like
the weird temperature cycle that this region has been through recently is quite perplexing. I don't know.
It's very just weird reporting on all these projects and then reporting on extreme weather.
I know.
It's like kind of seeing the effects.
Things are just like a little wonky, Yeah. I don't know. Just putting that out there.
Not going to say the word that we're both thinking.
No,
but,
it's a danger term.
It's a dangerous term, but we're thinking it. And if you know what we're talking about, you're correct.
It's on the brain.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring us to the auction section of the paper now, because that is where a lot of other things of interest and of note live. This week, as in all other weeks. So in our auction section this week, I'm very excited to share with you that the racing report returns. Yeah, the racing report. That's right. The racing report is a gift from Matthew Chasney, and it is a right? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chasney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brain I just went
Matt,
in my brain.
I just called him Matt. I didn't realize he goes by Matthew, but
He
that makes
might.
sense.
I don't know. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure I got the name right of the
Yeah.
person who writes this. But the racing report is really cool. It's a 5-part photo essay, which is shot at tracks in Ohio, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. And it runs in Farm and Dairy through the summer. And it is literally so cool. Like, I just think it's such a neat piece of journalism. So the first installation back sees Mr. Chasney going to opening night at Mansfield Speedway in Mansfield, Ohio. So a little bit about this, because you're going to definitely want to check it out. In the paper on May 15th, Mansfield Speedway, which has laid dormant since 2019, roared back to life for the comeback classic before a sellout crowd. The original opening night, which was scheduled for May 2nd, was postponed due to that rain and freezing temperatures that are plaguing us everywhere, apparently in this region, which have been the prevailing theme also of racing in Ohio this spring. I desperately need to go swimming. I'm sorry, that's a completely unrelated thought to this. I just need it to be warm. I need a cold beverage.
It hasn't
I need
been
to be
warm
in a body
enough.
of water.
Like, I need like 80.
I know.
You need like 80 degree weather to.
I also don't want to be in a
yeah.
building. Like, I need to be outside. But
Yeah.
that's literally neither here nor there. The ticket on opening night featured 410 sprint cars. Oh, by the way, there's some really good, like, I didn't include it in my little write-up, but the story of how Mansfield Speedway got like brought back online, and it's very interesting, and Matt writes about it in his piece. We should check out, along of course with the photographs, which me flailing my arms right now I cannot unfortunately enthrall you with, but they are Matthew is a wonderful, talented photographer, so definitely make sure that you check out the piece online and also in print. Anyway, the ticket on opening night at Mansfield Speedway featured 410 sprint cars, late models, and modifieds. Mansfield native Kyle Moore took a popular win in late models, fighting his way back from a 12th place start. Cap Henry chased down Danny Sams III to win the 410 sprint car feature, and Ryan Markham of Ashland, Ohio, won the modified feature. It is very, very cool. Definitely check out those photos, like I said or suggested that you should. So.
Nice. Yeah, everybody go check it out.
Yeah.
Great photographer. Wow, there's a daddy long leg on the wall.
There's spiders everywhere.
Wow,
There's a spider hanging from the ceiling. There's a spider over there. There was a spider in the doorway. I went on a little walkabout today because the internet died, and I was like, you know what? And every Monday when we are here in the office, I want to go to this record store, but they didn't have hours for the longest time on Mondays, and they finally did today. And I was like, like, I'm going to the record store, and I bought a Judy Garland and Liza Minnelli album. It's the first day of Pride, so naturally my queens. So I bought that. I bought a Titanic cassette tape, and then I also bought the Fray again, like one of their first albums, if not their first album, on CD for my car. My tape cassette deck in my car is not working that well, but my CD player is just fine. So I was very excited about that. And I say all of this because on the way back in, there was a giant spider on the door of Farm and Dairy. Like, I went to go open the door, and I went, and
well, everybody just remember that a spider is an arachnid. It is not a bug or an insect.
Thank you.
It is an arachnid.
Our
so
readers would like this. Yeah.
Yes. If you think it's an insect, you are not educated enough.
Yeah.
I'm just joking. I made the same mistake. That is why I'm saying that. That was
but we were
joke.
corrected.
We were corrected, and then Rachel's 7-year-old son corrected her 4-year-old daughter when she went, "Oh, look, a bug," and he went, "No, Addie, it's an arachnid." Yeah. And Rachel was very like, what just happened? How does my 7-year-old know that a spider's an arachnid?
The youth are all right.
Man.
Yeah, they're okay.
Anyway, in other news, I got some Ohio news for everybody.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, Attorney General Dave Yost filed an emergency court order to force the Eastern Ohio village of Harrisville to address a wastewater treatment system failure that is causing untreated sewage to flow into local waterways.
Ew.
Very ill. According to the EPA, Harrisville has failed to maintain its wastewater treatment plant for roughly 5 months, leading to untreated sewage passing into Sloan Run. And no one has been overseeing the plan since March 8th. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
The Ohio EPA has documented multiple violations at the site, including a manhole at the wastewater treatment plant currently overflowing and bypassing the plant, untreated sewage outside of the plant, evidence of sewage fungus and algae growth in the creek, sewage visible in the outfall pipe, and strong foul odors along the creek bed. Yeah. That is the face.
So nice.
Yeah. So the complaint and emergency motion filed in the Harrison County Common Pleas Court on May 26th attempts to force the village to take immediate corrective action, which includes finding a qualified operator for the facility. A village official did tell the Ohio Attorney General's office that village council has resigned and the mayor lives outside of the village limits, which has complicated efforts to enforce the emergency. But also, that's really confusing to me because, how does an entire council resign?
Yeah.
What is going on? I don't know what is going on in Harrisville, but that's really gross, and it's going to pollute all waterways if they don't get that under cover.
So icky.
But yeah, if you didn't know, Harrisville is located in Harrison County and has roughly 259 residents and about 90 homes. So that's a little information for you guys today.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well. All right, what have I got for you guys next? Well, I wrote something for the auction cover. I did. I put it right on the cover. Well, I didn't put it there. I don't place pages, but all right. I'm going to tell you about what I said. I don't know where this is coming from. My auction cover. Should I preface it? It's a weird story. It got weird.
Just go full. Just
jump in.
Just dive in, Paul.
My assignment was to go to a Civil War reenactment, and I did, and that's just where I'm gonna leave it. Okay, so I'm gonna set the scene. Actually, we're gonna just take a page. Imagine that you are now, what were those those videos that we would watch on the tape deck in. The tape deck, like I just mentioned that about my car, on VHS in school, elementary school, and it's like, is this ringing any bells for you?
Nope.
No. Dang. Wow. Yeah. We used to watch these things in school, and it was like a parrot flying through a museum, and that was the theme song, and it was like a different educational thing or something. And it was anyway, but that was the so then you're parachuting into this new thing that you're going to learn about in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But it's not the early 2000s. It is the horrific year of 2026.
Yep.
By 1864, because again, this was about the Civil War, the Union, Paul Rowley writes in Auction, was bone tired. 3 years of war had emptied farmsteads and factory floors. Regiments had been massacred and amassed and massacred again, and disease killed more men than enemy fire. Families were sending their second and third sons to the front, and still the Confederacy clung to its vision of a slave-holding republic, gambling that it could outlast the North's will to fight. That was the scene that was set at Burton, Ohio's Century Village Museum on Memorial Day weekend, which was this reenactment was held May 25th and May 26th. It's in its 41st year this year, or it was. And that was the scene that Benjamin Fraser, he's a reenactor, playing the role of a weary but impassioned Major General James Garfield. He kind of set that. And he did not mince words about what he said next. He said this. He said, quote, "The war has been terrible. It has gone on too long." He told a small crowd, and his monologue was kind of drawn from speeches and comments and then journal entries that Mr. Garfield wrote and said and delivered in that time. So this is not like a verbatim speech of James Garfield's. I wanted to call him Andrew Garfield so often when I was writing this, but that is the actor.
He'd be a lot better too.
Anyway, James Garfield, in the style of reenactor Benjamin Fraser, told us in where we were hearing this. "We have sacrificed much, we have lost too much, but if we don't see this through, the blood of our soldiers that has been spilled upon the ground will cry out with righteous fury if we do not bring slavery to its end." And this was all like par for the course for me because it tracked very neatly with my Massachusetts public school curriculum provided understanding of the Civil War that the Confederacy fought to preserve slavery and lost. And that is not quite the end of the story, but that is like what happened. And what I found there is that that might be so. But I actually came across a tent erected in the middle of the village, which, by the way, is a very cool place because there's like historic buildings from throughout Geauga County that were relocated to this site. And it's a really beautiful location. Cool. And so they kind of constructed like a town square with all of these old buildings that otherwise might have been lost to time or torn down. And they are preserved here. And it's really neat. And it's like a living history museum. It's very cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. So highly recommend anyone go check out the museum just on any day. It's really cool. Or for the next Civil War reenactment. But anyway, there was a large tent propped up in the middle of the village. And it had a really long table, which was draped in the Confederate battle flag, which you have all seen probably in numerous contexts. History books, hate speech, hate like events, hate marches, including most recently in Virginia over the same weekend. Is it the Unite the Right or some hate group marched through Virginia, and they were like, "They will not replace us," and doing all that embarrassing stuff with masks on and everything. Anyway, This is not connected to that whatsoever, but they did have a flag. That's the only other context that I have to see the Confederate flag. And this table had a banner, it's at the Ohio Division of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. And I was like, who is this? And the banner named this group Quantrill's Raiders, and it said Quantrill's Raiders Camp 2087, which was apparently named after a fellow named William Clark Quantrill, a person who I've never heard of before this day. And he, I learned, was a native of Dover, Ohio. He's a local guy. And the sign also had these slogans about patriotism, honor, and the unvarnished truth of history. I was like, okay. There was a talk about Mr. Quantrill, and I was like, I should go find out more about this gentleman. And a reenactor who also serves, his name is Jim Kroll, and he also serves as the Ohio Division Commander for the Sons of Confederate Veterans, described him as, quote, one of the most vastly misunderstood and victimized, villainized, demonized individuals in the entire Civil War. And I was like, okay. So then I pull up Wikipedia, good old Wikipedia on my phone, because I'm like, who is William Quantrill? And I go to Wikipedia, and it is not good. The profile of Mr. Quantrill on Wikipedia is not good. It's not very flattering.
I'd like to interrupt real quick just to say this is an important reason for why everyone should do their own research.
Yep, it's a good
instead of just trusting someone to tell you the.
I was reading, and I was
truth.
going, no, so I asked the reenactor and the head of this chapter, I was like, what kind of an example does a man like William Quantrill offer today? Maybe like a cautionary tale I was expecting, maybe like something else. And he was cast as kind of like a brilliant guerrilla commander who a lot of his techniques and if they were like used and employed, his moves and were employed during like the Vietnam War. There was like a connection made to that. And I was told that he wasn't really interested in slavery or even the war at all. I was told he became part of the war because it came to him and it was kind of a God-given calling, is what I was told. He was famous because his attacks on Unionist towns and outposts, most notoriously the 1863 sack of Lawrence, Kansas, saw his men kill around 200 men and boys before burning much of the place down. And this was all kind of framed as like a desperate defense of border families rather than just like outright butchery. Anyway, on Wikipedia, and you can check for yourself, Quantrill is referred to as a bushwhacker, which is a term for a guerrilla fighter who led hit-and-run raids, and he's indelibly linked to breathtaking atrocities and, quote, roamed the Missouri and Kansas countryside to apprehend escaped slaves. Not quite the hero that
wow.
So I didn't think he was
if
a
hero
great guy.
means someone who commits atrocious acts of violence.
Right.
That's really weird. Wow.
Yeah. So I just thought, it's so great. So anyway, I'm thinking this plus who are the sons of Confederate veterans? Like, well, I don't know anything about them, and I'm a little afraid to ask. Like now, I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I didn't know if they were, upholding what historians have referred to as kind of the myth of the lost cause, which eliminates, or not eliminates, but I would say obfuscates the origins or the cause for the war. It really downplays the whole slavery thing, and it instead is kind of it takes another stab at it and says, well, it's about honor and family, and there's
states' rights
and money, and but it has and for the majority of the people fighting the Civil War, they did not own plantations and have the whole thing, but at the core of the war is definitely the preservation of the institution of slavery.
Yeah,
but
the cause. Yeah, the cause of the war was the states wanting the right to have slaves.
Right. So,
making that clear on the podcast.
Yeah, so that's what happened.
So Farm and Dairy knows that to be true, and it is true.
And if you doubt me, I did ask a historian.
So there
for this story, I did go to a historian. So I needed to get to the bottom of that. I needed to get to the bottom of like what the cause of the war was, who William Quantrill really was, and then also I needed to find out who the Sons of Confederate Veterans were, and it was more complicated than just like because the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Did you know who was a member of that group? Harry S. Truman, the Democratic President of the United States.
Wait. Wait, no, I'm looking. I'm looking. There we go.
Yeah, he was a member.
That's wild.
It was, and I talked to, and in fact, I refer to him as the HCIC, which is the head Confederate in charge. And he was once the formal commander of like the whole organization for a time. And he put it in terms, I'm paraphrasing, this is not like verbatim, but it is kind of reflected in the article. He put it in terms, I asked him about like, hey, Confederate battle flag. Lots of hate groups love it. Like they use it in a lot of places. You drive around Ohio like we do, at least I do, and driving around like rural parts, going to report on different things, and you will actually see the Confederate flag.
Oh no, I passed one today. I pass every single Monday.
Right, it's a little bizarre.
In Ohio. I'm going to emphasize that it's in Ohio too. So
yeah, not a great look for that person.
They also have a.
I'm a little suspicious.
Yeah, they also have a lot of other flags out too. So this person.
So anyway, so it's used in a derogatory, to put it politely, way. And he, this gentleman I talked to, his name is Chuck. Is a really nice guy. He's really interested in genealogy, and he basically put it in a way that they have no association with that kind of tomfoolery, shall we say? And in fact, on the Sons of Confederate Veterans website, there is a statement that is on the homepage. It is not at all. You can't miss it, and it is like, we do not condone racial or religious bigotry or the use of like the Confederate flag. And so anyway, it was very complicated. It was more complicated than I thought. And my initial misgivings about the group were not quite accurate. But also, this is a story about like the memory that we have as a country about the Civil War. And
wait, so they don't condone racial?
Correct.
But
the flag, I'm trying not to give it away.
Okay, so their group is just kind of trying to say like, this is what we believe was the cause of the Civil War.
It's a heritage thing. This is when you hear, like I've heard on, when we've covered, not us, but like in the news, like this story has come up a lot about like the heritage, not hate kind of faction. And I've always, I will totally admit, I've kind of rolled my eyes at that refrain a little bit, because it's like, it's the Confederate flag. Like I haven't seen it to mean anything good in these modern times that we live in. But in fact, that is quite really what it is for this group, is that they are honoring their descendants. In Chuck's case, he had about 60 relatives who fought in the war, uncles and great grandfathers. And it is a measure of pride to honor like their sacrifice and their service, that they, carried the mantle and the banner and the flag, and they want to preserve the history of that. So
I have a question then. What is wrong? Why then reframe what the Civil War is actually about, for the sake of heritage? Like, I can still be proud that I'm a Partsch and recognize that some distant Partsch back in the day might have been a complete
right.
awful person
Right.
and did awful things.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I can't still be proud to like be where I'm from.
Right.
While also recognizing that, oh, hey, this person was awful.
Right. I personally, and this is not reflected in the article. I think a lot of Americans struggle with more things being true at once.
Yeah.
I think they really just need you to be like, whoosh,
a single
like,
truth. It can't be complicated.
Can't
but
be complicated.
So much of life is complicated.
Right.
There's never nothing's black and white.
Right.
There is so many different things.
There's a lot of shades of gray.
There's lots of shades of gray.
Yeah.
That you need to consider.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that is something that maybe just people in general, maybe it's not even fair to just generalize all average Americans, but just, people cannot accept multiple things being true, which is, because again, absolutely correct. I think that, and that is The Lost Cause, which is this historian that I talked to, he really explains quite well, and I will let the readers parse that on their own. It's just it's that they can't go all the way and acknowledge that some harm was done, even if with the best of intentions, or that in this. Can you imagine being in 1860 and there's a nationwide war? So if I was going to be able to put myself in their shoes, I think my worldview would be vastly different, and my world itself, I think, would be so much smaller than it is now. I was just telling everyone in the editorial space that we share, I even just driving to this. I live in Cleveland. Geauga County is maybe an hour away, and the Century Village Museum maybe an hour away, and I kind of mentioned this at a party that I went to this weekend, I was in Burton, Ohio, and all of the people there who are Cleveland natives, they've lived in Northeast Ohio for their entire life, they'd never heard of that place.
Yeah,
never heard of Burton, Ohio, never heard of Geauga. I mean, you've heard of Geauga, but they're oh, that's hours away, and I'm no, brother, it is an hour at most. It is very easy to get here. It is a quick jaunt.
Yeah.
So anyway, a lot of people, I think, just kind of spend their whole lives in one very specific geographic area, and that was probably all the more true. How many years ago the Civil War was? I can't do math. I don't do numbers, but anyway. Yeah. So
well, I guess I could see one last thing about that is I could see some of these people maybe not wanting to actualize in their brain the true cause of the Civil War for the sake of being but I'm proud of my grandfather and who he was. Yeah. But I don't know, again, I don't know. I mean, it's worse to kind of I don't want to, what's a word for greenwash or it's worse to make this false truth about what it actually was. It hurts so many more people. Yeah. Then, so I don't know. I think I don't know, just the whole thing. You just you need to accept two truths. Maybe your grandfather was a good person to some people, but that's how it was back then. And just kind of denying what reality is and helping people nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to address some of this.
Wow. I'm going to have to read that story, Paul. It sounds very fascinating. You know what? Congrats to you for going and doing all of this, I'm sure, mental gymnastics.
There were a couple of times where I was what if I just didn't do any of this extra hard work and just talked about how lovely a time it was to be at this.
No.
But I said, no, we're going to just commit and go away.
And it's good. That's how those pieces of journalism are important. Yeah.
Did what I could.
So yeah. Yes. Well, we should accept everybody. That it's Pride Month. Yeah. It is the start. Shout out to Pride Month again. Yeah. So everybody, it's June. Go out into the heat and
I should have a
fun. Yeah. You should. At the Pride Parade.
Yeah, I'll definitely pick one up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cleveland's is on Saturday, which I think is the 6th, and I will be there.
Pittsburgh.
And I will report back at Cleveland's at least. But Pittsburgh's is this weekend too?
Pittsburgh's is this weekend, but I won't be able to go because I'm going to DC. And DC's Pride thing isn't happening until later this month. So
sad.
Yeah. I'll figure out an event to go to. Yeah. But for anyways, everybody, stay... I don't know, just
stay fabulous.
Stay fabulous, exactly. that is all the top stories we have for the week.
Yeah.
So you can check out the full stories on farmingdairy.com or find your local newsstand.
Go for it.
Yeah. And thanks for tuning in. We will see you next week.
We shall.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Bye.